Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by
His
yours
voice
truly.
is nice. I'm not trying to be respectfully, genuinely. He's got a really nice voice. That's all I'm saying.
We're going to be talking about Wuthering Waves, quote unquote, copying Genshin Impact.
I think he's in the wrong business. Is this man married? I'm not asking for me. I'm just asking. Is he married? Because if he's not married, he needs to play Valorant immediately. Oh, he is? Okay, never mind. He should never play Valorant. Never mind. I take it back. I take it back. Okay, if he's married with a kid, then never mind. If you're a single man with this kind of voice, you should play Valorant. You're in the wrong business. That's all. No, he should not play Valorant. If you're in a relationship and one of the partners plays Valorant and the other one doesn't, I think that partner is cheating. Sorry. Okay, bye.
Yeah, it's a narrative I'm sure
Valorant
we
is
can
for
go
cheating.
ahead and assume is coming from Genshin Cucks, right? Of course.
Whoa.
But
Whoa,
nonetheless,
whoa,
ladies,
whoa, we already just started really strong. I was not expecting Genshin cucks. Okay, wait, hey, let me start over. I got so caught up in this voice conversation that then he said Genshin cucks, and I was like, wow! What are we talking about? Is Valorant a new dating site? Valorant is the dating site.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by yours truly. We're going to be talking about Wuthering Waves, quote unquote, copying Genshin Impact. Yeah, it's a narrative I'm sure we can go ahead and assume is coming from Genshin Cucks, right? Of course.
I like him. I was not in any way expecting the Genshin cucks call out in 15 seconds in. That was crazy. That was crazy. Go off, King.
But nonetheless, we got to talk about the nuances of copying versus inspiration and where we
Yes.
draw that line.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're gonna sit here and say Power World copied 98% of Pokemon's design, I'm not gonna refute that argument. But if you try and
Fair.
say Power World is Pokemon, that's where I'm gonna step in and say, well, you're an idiot. No, it's not. That's a survival game, and Pokemon is, well, Pokemon.
Literally. Literally. Literally, the Power World argument is always so... It's so hard to have the right word for how stupid I think that argument is. It's like, it's almost the argument of somebody who's been lobotomized. Pokemon and Power World are so different. I never understood that argument at all. I think that argument is so genuinely asinine.
Let's talk about Genshin Impact. First and foremost,
No.
do not try and credit Genshin Impact's world formula and design as a Genshin Impact original.
What was the original? Guys, you weren't the original, just like Pokemon wasn't the original. And I'm sure Breath of the Wild was probably, I don't know exactly. I'm sure Breath of the Wild was heavily inspired by something else. Just saying.
If you do this, you're just telling on yourself that you're a 10-year-old kid who doesn't even know about Breath of the Wild. If you
So
go
true.
and Google anything in the realms of Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild versus Genshin Impact, you'll come to find out that Genshin Impact damn near 98% copied the entirety of the world design of Breath of the Wild. But does that...
They are pretty shockingly similar. I think that the argument of copying another game is just super, super irrelevant. The basis of all modern creativity is some version of Yoink and Twist. Nothing is a brand new idea. You've never had an idea that has never been had by a person before. How many people have lived? 117 billion people have lived on Earth. You've never thought anything for the first time. Nobody's thought anything for the first time.
mean that Genshin Impact is Breath of the Wild? No. Why? Because Breath of the Wild is the canvas, and then Hoyoverse decided to put their twist and spice and cook up a different...
Yoink and twist. That's what a yoink and twist is. You yoink it and you twist it. That's a yoink and twist. That is the basis of all creativity. If it's too close of a copy, you're gonna get sued. But realistically, if something is too close of a copy, the inherent issue is that it's never, ever going to be that successful because the original already exists.
Wuthering Waves is not copying Genshin Impact.
No.
Now, is it inspired? Could you make
Obviously.
the argument that Genshin might be a canvas or part of that canvas? Yes.
But that's also because it's the same genre, no? To me, things that are in the same genre are going to always be super, super similar. The example I've used before is like MOBA games, right? MOBA games are always going to be extremely similar, but because to be considered a MOBA game requires a very similar map. It requires very similar mechanics from the characters. There is going to be individuality between games, but a MOBA game is always going to be more or less a copy of a MOBA game because they're in the same genre. It's the same type of game.
But Genshin doesn't have an ecosystem where you can summon Pokemon to the battlefield to help you fight. You can't even go around farming summons and echoes. You can't do this in Genshin. Genshin Impact's combat is completely different from Wuthering Waves combat. You don't have an extreme evasion that's readily accessible to everyone else. You don't have a parry mechanic in there.
You could just and easily say with Wuthering Waves that Wuthering Waves took directly from Pokemon or took directly from Dark Souls-like games, because they've got the parry system, they've got the roll system, they do have like the kind of Pokemon aspect to it. But people are not saying that. Why? Because they're from a genre where they're taking a concept from another genre and adding it into their game as part of the total execution. So we're not going to say that that's copied. Video games are video games. If something works in video games, people are going to like that. People enjoy familiarity and things that they like from other games to be in new games. Like, you want there to be similarities because then people don't feel like, oh God, I got to go into this like desolate alien realm where I don't know what the f is going on, you know? So I think it's a good thing for there to be similarities between games. It's just like we only call Wuthering Waves a Genshin Impact clone because they're the same genre. If aesthetics is the only thing that you base it off of, like, aesthetic is going to be similar between, it's also an art style thing. How different can anime Breath of the Wild open world game look from anime Breath of the Wild open world game 2? You know, it can't be that different because there's also reality that straying too far away from stylization that people find comfortable will actually turn people away. If it's too stylized from the thing that they're used to and they're similar genres, people are not going to like it. Because it's similar with VTubers. A lot of VTubers who have extremely stylized designs have a hard time having the same reach as having like regular ass anime designs. It needs to be visually different to a certain extent. But if it's too stylized, far away from the things people are familiar with, people won't like it. Because if it wasn't familiar, people wouldn't even consider it. I believe that a lot of people would not at all consider playing Wuthering Waves if it didn't look so familiar to Genshin.
There's a fine line between inspiration versus copy.
Yeah.
But if you take out Breath of the Wild, guess what? There's no Genshin Impact. You need it literally needed that inspiration to be the game it is today. Inspiration and copy aren't the same thing, and even then, some elements are straight up copied from games.
Yes.
And it's okay as long as the game itself is transformative and delivering you a product that is enjoyable. When another game comes along, takes the canvas of Genshin Impact with the elements that you love, and then adds in the elements you wish that Genshin Impact has, that is a prime example of transforming, taking inspiration from the game that they know people love, but they also are aware of the things it doesn't have, the weaknesses.
That's also really good marketing. Beyond this like creative debate about inspiration and copying, it's a good marketing decision to take a game that is highly successful, but that people have a lot of unrest with, and then add in all of the things that people want, or add in things that people might have wanted, or add in new things that people will like. That is a genius marketing strategy, no? Because that's my thing about the whole Genshin won't be killed. Is it will be killed for the people who already were done with the game. The only people that Wuthering Waves will actually take away from Genshin is people who were already like kind of done with Genshin and either had stopped playing or were still playing, mostly because there wasn't something to replace Genshin for them. That is who it will kill Genshin for. But people who still like have good feelings toward Genshin will continue to play.
And they add it into their game. That's transformative. You can't not get mad and say, oh, you copied Genshin Impact, how dare you? Well, nerds, Genshin Impact failed to deliver upon an audience that it could have captured. That's their loss. Man, oh man, I wonder what games copied Street Fighter. Aww.
What are you going to be inspired by when you're making a game other than another game? I'm asking. The first games were like Pong. That was inspired by another game. The concept of batting a ball around was not new. Fighting is a very groundbreaking concept. Nobody had ever thought of fighting before. Before the genre of fighting games existed, nobody have ever fist fought. Nobody ever learned karate or a martial art. Fighting at all was invented in the 1990s by Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Pokemon copied dinosaurs. No. Dinosaurs obviously plagiarized Pokemon. What the fuck are you talking about? Pokemon invented the concept of dinosaurs and monsters. All animals are Pokemon plagiarism. This is true. This is fact.
When they had to design their own worlds with the apocalyptic theme, design their own characters, design their own combat system.
That's true.
Pretty much put in all the effort, all for some Genshin cuck to get on the internet and say, you copy Genshin.
I like him. As a first impression, this is going very well. I am really enjoying the use of the term Genshin cuck.
Would you look at that? If there was no Street Fighter, there would be no Mortal Kombat.
True.
Now, would you make the argument that Mortal Kombat copied Street Fighter?
Yes.
Absolutely not. Could you make the argument that it got inspired by Street Fighter?
No, it was a copy.
And honestly,
Plagiarism.
if I'm being completely honest here and fair, I would say that's a fair comparison of Wuthering Waves versus Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact could debatably be Street Fighter, and Wuthering Waves could debatably be Mortal Kombat.
Fair.
Completely different combat sequences, dynamics.
Yeah, but the anime woman used a sword. The anime woman used a sword and attacked with the sword in like the style of how maybe an anime martial artist might, and therefore it is the same.
Should we be mad that Mortal Kombat copied Street Fighter?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and we should also harass people on Twitter about it. Harass the developers of the original Mortal Kombat game for copying exactly Street Fighter in every single way. Harass them, send them death threats, DM them telling them that they are racist and also hate women and are supportive of AI. We must harass the original developers of Mortal Kombat for copying Street Fighter. It wasn't available back in ye olden days. There was no Twitter in which to harass people, but we should do it now, for sure.
Nobody is copying Genshin Impact at Wuthering Waves. No. Now, they are taking certain elements of the game that they themselves drew the conclusion of, that's a good element.
Yes,
whether I
for
agree with
familiarity.
some of the elements or not, they took some of them for sure. But the game, the art that's put on the canvas, you go into some of these fights, you'll see that apocalyptic kudo game design that has nothing to do with Genshin Impact. And I'm gonna say this one more time before we end this video. The world design does not belong to Genshin Impact for credit.
No.
It belongs to Breath of the Wild. Let's get that straight. All right. So hopefully this gave somewhat of a perspective to some of these freaking kids and adult babies. I don't know, man. It's insane. But
like
Wuthering
him.
Waves, man, there's a lot of elements that I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention my damn self. There's more elements. I just forgot them or haven't even got to them yet. It's a different game. Case in point, I'm out.